Hello, Katie Hunt here with your general weekly tarot card reading for the week of March 18th, 2019. This week I'm using the Everyday Witch Tarot cards by Deborah Blake and intuiting any additional information that comes in from our guides and from the universe so that we have the absolute best understanding on what is to come energetically in the upcoming week. So, how are you doing? How is March going for you so far? Please comment below and let me know what's been going on, what you've been experiencing, even thus far in this year. It's been a crazy year. We do have a full moon coming up this week. We also have the first day of spring, which is insane to think about. I feel like winter just started, but we've had a bit of a cold stretch here in Alberta, in Canada really, this last, month or so. So it's going to be a very nice little change of pace with spring coming in. So with spring, we have new beginnings. We have this freshness in the air. We also have this uncovering process happening. The snow is melting. I almost called it the discharge. That's the word that keeps coming to me. The death, like the rotting, the aftermath of the death is becoming exposed. And I think that this is beautifully symbolic because that's a lot of what feels like this week. It's going to feel like a lot of this stuff is just very exposed for us. It is a beautiful time for new beginnings. We are still in Mercury retrograde until about the 28th. So please continue to reflect and to maybe make some plans, but nothing concrete. If you can avoid signing contracts during this time, make sure you do that. But if you do, just take extra care looking over things. But when we are in this experience of death and rebirth, it can be challenging. It can be overwhelming because we have so many options. Sometimes it's hard to decide where you should put your focus and your energy and where you should really take time to move forward. So take this time right now to reflect. It may not necessarily be time for you to act right away, but you might be able to start to put some of the pieces together with all of this exposure that will be happening within you. During the winter time, we go inside the self, we hang out inside, there's lots of reflection that happens, lots of coziness that happens, and now we're starting to kind of, move our muscles a little bit, start to branch out a little bit and go exploring in the world a little bit more. We're not so homebound, so start to stretch your muscles, start to investigate what's out there, but also still being gentle with yourself because you are still, especially, for most of this week, you are still in this death and dying phase that is winter. And when the snow kind of melts away and spring begins to, start to flourish, all of that death, all of that garbage, all of that stuff that you've just kind of covered up is just going to kind of be at the surface. Because what happens sometimes in the winter is sometimes we take it as a very nice and reflective space, or sometimes we just seem to disconnect and we just want to park the things that we're trying to deal with so that we can just enjoy and hibernate and those types of things. So not everything that died for you during winter, whatever left, not all of it has fully left you. It could be that there's little pieces of it still hanging on. So it's really important to still continue the reflection, to still continue to ask yourself questions, to get curious about what's going on and how you're feeling so that you can move forward and completely just jump ahead of all of the things that you want to do once, we get out of Mercury retrograde, and then you have that beautiful springness in the air that makes you want to go forward and have those new beginnings and to enjoy them. If that makes sense. There's a lot of rambling. It's been a very long week. It's been a very weird time. I want to say that it's been a very long year already, but it hasn't. It's gone by very, very fast. The time is going by really fast. There's just a lot going on. I wonder if we'll ever live a life where it's just kind of like nothing's happening with energy and we can just all kind of enjoy our lives and not to do work all the time, but fortunately that's just not what Earth is about, is it? So just got to enjoy our experience while we have it here. Just make the best of it. So if you are struggling with whatever you're going through or whatever's been coming up for you, treat yourself. Just do whatever you have to do to make yourself feel good. Sometimes that's just what you need, is to just, you know, we like to force ourselves to do things, but sometimes you just need a little bit of comfort. So I'll give you the permission, if you need it, to give yourself whatever you need to feel happy and fulfilled during this time. It can be hard sometimes to be a human. So give yourself some credit. Yes, this fits. So this is the general theme of the week is temperance. Temperance is about balance. I feel like we had this card last week. Maybe I pulled this card for myself because I struggle with balance. Balance is an art. It's not a science. Life is about balancing the idea of balance. So you want to bring in balance wherever you can, in any areas that you can. This will differ every day, and this will differ depending on what your life looks like. If you've been going a little bit too much on the comfort side, it's time for you to stretch out a little bit and introduce a tiny little bit of newness into your life. Whether that is, you know, getting up and starting to move, or introducing some healthier food options for you. That's definitely what's coming through, especially with us in the colder climates. Can be really hard to not get lazy in the winter months, and it's just kind of naturally what our bodies do. We slow down, we sleep more, we eat, you know, bigger food. So as I said, with spring coming, we kind of start to stretch our muscles, but we're also being asked to start to bring in some of those healthier habits. And again, now that we have this little bit of new motivation that will be coming in. I don't feel like actually the motivation is going to come in this week. I feel like it might be the week after, which is kind of good. It works fine because Mercury is in retrograde. We can't really do much with the motivation as forward movement is concerned. But just ask yourself where you're out of balance in your life. Are you working too much? Are you working too little? Is there an imbalance of your energy? Are you giving too much in relationships? Are you trying to take too much from people? So just really be honest with yourself about where balance, where you are balanced and where you're out of balance in your life. But this is definitely a universal influence this week. This energy is going to show you where you are out of balance. And that's, I think, what I'm feeling right now is this like exhaustion that is linked to balance. So pay attention to how you're feeling, where you're feeling it in your body, and go and get curious about how you're feeling. So question why you're feeling exhausted. Are you exhausted, where you're feeling, you know, any sort of pain or anything like that. It may not necessarily be exhaustion for you. It could just be, you know, being irritable or feeling run down, or whatever way you feel it is totally fine. But just pay attention to that and how you're feeling, because that is a message for you for sure. And we're all struggling to reach balance, and get curious about it. Are you giving too much? Is that why you're exhausted? Or are you just not doing something about your exhaustion? So there could be, it'll be different for everyone. So it's hard to pinpoint for a general reading. Whew. Is this the same reading? I just had to get curious a little bit about that. Okay, so we have the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords, I know we've had her come in recently. This is going to be you this week, I think, for most of us. Of course, it's a general reading, so this could be different for every single person, but I think for most people, so use your judgment on that, or your discernment about that. I think that a lot of the energy on Monday, Tuesday will influence us to be more like the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is calculated. She is mentally strong. She can be harsh, but she's fair. She's, you know, quick to act. She is very mentally strong. So she's a really smart cookie. This is also what this energy, the balance, is going to be bringing in this week. So, watch yourself in your interactions with people. She's not the most warm and fuzzy person. So this balance could be about, are you too much like the Queen of Swords? Are you a bit cold with people? when you should bring in a little bit more warmth? Or are you being forced into this space because of the imbalance that is happening in your relationships or in your life, that you're just feeling so run down that you are coming across to people as this cold presence? The Queen of Swords is not always cold. That's just how it's coming through this week. So that's important to remember. She comes through in different ways. She's a very powerful female energy. So whether you are male or female, it is coming through our female channels. We both have female and masculine, feminine and masculine energy. This is coming through on the feminine side. So the receptive side, the nurturing side of the human self. The Queen of Swords is coming through, and this is how she's coming through a little bit this week. Is short and kind of annoyed, and I just want to get to the point. Be bright, be brief, be gone. That's kind of, I think, how Monday is going to go. So check yourself before you wreck yourself. Make sure that you are bringing in balance and that you're not being too cold going forward from people. Then we have the Sun on Wednesday, Thursday. So this is an interesting transition. This is the best card in the tarot. This reminds us that everything is fine. This is beautiful. So what this is what they're saying to me is with this Temperance card, when we call into balance and we're noticing the areas that, perhaps we need to bring a little bit more balance into, we can start to get down on ourselves, and maybe we get overwhelmed by the amount of change that we think that we have to make, or the amount of balance that I need to obtain in my life will require all of this work. We want to be reminded that everything is okay, everything is all good, and you will have a gift appear for you in the middle of the week. This will differ depending on the type of person. I'm feeling for some of you, this is actually a person entering in to help you achieve this Temperance. It could be the Queen of Swords that comes in for you and helps you to take charge and to create and to make balance happen. It's not even to create it. It's like making it happen. It's forcing things to happen. And this is a very empowered place to be. So wherever you are on Wednesday, Thursday, whether stuff is going down that you're not really a fan about, connect into the Sun energy that you're feeling. This is actually a really beautiful time for this card to come through, because that is right in the equinox. That is, where the sun is halfway in between the solstice, the winter and the summer solstice. So this is a beautiful time to be outside, and hopefully you have some sun wherever you are during the middle of the week. But go out and just dance around the sun. If things are getting too real for you and you're struggling, or you're just having a hard time, or you're just stuck in this Queen of Swords energy, which isn't bad, but it might be uncomfortable for you this week, just remember that everything is okay. And how would you act? How would you be if you were coming from a place of love, from this place of celebration, this place that deciding that everything is going to be just fine? How would you act in your life if you approached everything knowing that everything was going to just work out well, having total certainty that you were going to get through this time, or that total certainty that you will be able to achieve balance in your life, and total certainty that you will be able to go after for exactly what you want without worrying too much about it? Your life would probably look a lot different. Okay, we have the Six of Pentacles for the weekend, which talks about generosity. That's what this is about. Generosity and community. Also, not having a big ego. Check your ego this weekend. Is it interesting? So that's also partnering in nicely with the Temperance card, with the balance. You do need your ego to live as a human. It is a part of you. There are many teachers who want to destroy the ego. Learning to work with your ego is a lifelong process. It's not something that is achieved overnight. And if you are in this spiritual path, which most likely you are if you're watching a tarot card reading, you need to really be easy on yourself when your ego creeps in and starts to make decisions for you. Because first of all, that's what your ego does. It comes in, it tries to help you or keep you alive. It's there to serve you. But it's also, it's like creating a new pattern and a new behavior to not go into the ego, because that's what you've been doing your whole life. And so sometimes you revert back, even if you're super great at rising above it and connecting into the heart and making your decisions from the heart, the ego will still come in. And sometimes the ego needs to be heard, and sometimes you need to send love to your ego because your ego is scared and just trying to send you love. So bring it into balance. Are you one of those people who disregards your ego and tells it to shut up and just you hate the ego? Or are you somebody who is too far into the ego? Maybe you let it control you, or maybe you're too far into fear. You need to be honest with yourself about where you're at and see how you can level it out a little bit and have everybody have a seat at the table. Your heart, your ego, your soul, all the different aspects of yourself and all of your spiritual team. Everybody should get a voice at the meeting. You don't have to listen to your ego, but sometimes you just need to acknowledge that it's there and it's waving its hands at you so that you can just say, I hear you. We're going to go another path because everything's going to be okay. Sometimes that's all your ego needs, to just shut up and let you follow your heart. So this is about your ego a lot, I think. I'm feeling like you can be generous. How are you being generous? Is it from a space of ego? Is it because you like to feel better than other people? Is it because you're able to give money to people, so that's why you do it? Is it to feel less guilty about certain things? There's no right and wrong. Just be honest with yourself about where you're at and ask yourself if you need to bring that into balance. Yeah, should be an interesting week. Thank you so much for being here and for watching. Go easy on yourself this week. I think that and the ego too, like your ego likes to make problems, and when we're upset about things, it's our ego usually who's making things mean stuff to us. Sometimes you are being triggered because there's a wound there, but sometimes other people can influence our ego and how we're feeling, and the ego just kind of takes over and it's like, yeah, that is bad. I really don't like when that person does that. So just go easy on yourself if you're finding yourself very irritable or whatever. Just retreat into the self, journal it, go for a massage, treat yourself, bring balance into your life, and understand that it is an art, it is not a science, and that it will always change. And maybe what balance used to look like for you is not what balance looks like anymore. And just be easy on yourself and allow yourself to flow and come from a place of love and total certainty that everything is going to work out just beautifully. So thank you so much for being here. My heart is with you this week and every single week. I so do appreciate you watching these videos each and every week. If you have not done so already and you're watching me on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe so we can grow this channel, so I can bring you plenty of more content that I've got up here in my head that's just waiting to come out, but it'll buy me some time if we can grow this YouTube channel, which I'd really appreciate. If you are watching me on katiehunt.ca, thank you for being here. And if you have not subscribed to katiehunt.ca, please do so to be entered in to win a free Reiki session and also to receive updates from me, only shared through the email list every single week. Thank you so much for being here. Have an amazing week.